I am well, Charlie. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for being on the Unicorn Millionaire Podcast. Super excited to chat with you today. You just interviewed me, so now I'm like, okay, it's my turn to interview you.
Roles reversed. Roles
Yes,
reversed. I'm
I
here
love
for
it. I'm a switch, so here for it. Equity.
it.
My
That's
turn,
right.
your turn. So before we get started, could you introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Pam Covarrubias. A lot of you know me through Café con Pam, which is my 10-year podcast. We're celebrating 10 years as
Damn.
of the time of this recording, which is a lot of fun. And outside of Café con Pam, I'm a leadership coach for first gens.
I'm like waiting for the
I
whole
know.
like speech, the arc. But that's what this
Yeah,
episode is
I
all
I
about.
keep it short. I leave it to you to ask me all the questions because there's a lot. I've been doing this for a minute, so there's a lot of arcs.
I love it. So yeah, let's go way back. Let's hear about your immigrant story. Where did you immigrate from? How old were you when you came to the US? What was your childhood like? And how did that inform where you are today?
In so many ways. I was born in the US, so I have the privilege to be a US citizen. And my
Mm,
dad actually, he said, I don't like the US. So he talked to my mom and he was
smart.
like, if you want, he was like, if you want the kids to be born here for the privileges that come with the US citizenship, fine, but we're not going to raise them here. And
Mm,
so, because the majority of my mom's family is in LA, actually, California. And so I was born here, grew up in Mexico City for the majority of my life. I have recently, I'm 40, and so I spent 20 years of my life in Mexico City, 20 years of my life now in the US. So I'm literally in the middle of half my life has been in a different country and the other half has been in this country. It informed my childhood because I did a lot of back and forth because we had family here. Anytime, my sister was born here, we did a lot of coming back and forth. Then my parents split. I grew up with a single mom after that. She had a successful business, which then she had to close because of envidiosos in the familia.
mm,
And I got to see the success of having a mom entrepreneur, and then all of a sudden things disappearing. And then we
mm.
moved to the US because it was easier for her to bring us here than to rebuild because the rebuilding was
Damn.
so painful. So that informed definitely who I am. And part of the protective reversals that I talk about, one is loyalty. And so my loyalty to the story is what kept me small for a long time. And I'm working through it, like personal development is a work in progress. So I did college in the Midwest in the US in Missouri. So when people talk about America without the A, I know America. I know what it's
Mhm.
like to speak Spanish at Walmart and be yelled at because whoever is in front of you in line is uncomfortable because they don't understand what you're saying.
Mhm.
It's really fascinating. And being now back in California, I mean, we haven't really like the diversity in the coast, whichever coast you think of, is not at all what happens in the middle of America. So I've
Mhm.
thoughts there. Um, yeah, so all of that informed how I grew up because seeing both my parents are entrepreneurs, growing up with entrepreneurial parents, I decided to go the traditional route. My grandfather was a lawyer on my dad's side, and he always wanted the safe route. And my dad is the rebel in the family, so he was like, "No, I'm going to be a musician, and I'm going to." He's the brujo also, so he
Mhm.
is a Reiki master. So he went into the route, into that route of you know working for yourself. My mom had her own business. And so growing up and seeing all of the ups and downs and arounds that happen in business, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go the safe route that my grandpa always talked about. Went the traditional, finished college, started in corporate, became a corporate executive. I was working directly under the CEO, got to sit in many rooms where people didn't look like me and got to hear a lot of things that I'm like, why would I bring you coffee? We're sitting at the same freaking table. Can I
Mm.
curse here? And so,
Duh, I say fuck all the time. Cursing is encouraged. Let it out.
great. And so I got to witness in my corporate life a lot of things. And then I got tired because I also, being neurodiverse, I have ADHD, I always wanted to solve things that were not mine. I was in charge of a department and I'm like, yeah, but this department works with that department. Why is your shit not working? And
Mm.
so I always had challenges with why are you in other people's business if what because it's affecting mine. But then if you don't fix it was just this
Mhm.
thing. And I was very entrepreneurial when I was in corporate. I was always doing and running things, which now looking back, I mean, I had the school. I grew up with that school, right? Of like live your life solving problems. I'm an eldest daughter, también, which
Mhm.
also live your life
Shout
solving
out to
problems.
all the eldest daughters.
Yeah. So it just kind of comes with the territory. And then finally one day I got fed up and tired and I quit my corporate job and I put my 2 week notice without a plan, without savings, because I mean, obviously I didn't have the savings conversation or I didn't
Mhm.
have the money conversation, period. Nobody talked to me about business, about money, sorry. And so I quit and 2 weeks later I found myself at work, quote, which was my desk at home. And thankfully, past self, I'd always, because I grew up with entrepreneur parents, I always had a side thing, always. I was always working with clients, whether it was doing consulting, whatever it was. And so when I quit, was the other kid, maybe I I can just grow that business, which I was doing branding. So I have a design and marketing background. And I had some design clients that I was working with, and I was like, maybe I can grow that, and that could be my my thing.
Mhm.
And I did, and that was like the most humbling experience I've ever had in a
Mm.
minute because I went from being a corporate executive, I was traveling for work, I was in the lounges, I was meeting like people doing things, to now I made the conscious decision. This was conscious. I didn't want to. I realized shortly after I quit that I didn't have any money to live and I needed to pay bills. And so I knew I needed to generate some money quickly, and I called my friend who was managing a restaurant, and I was like, "Can you give me a job serving?" And she was like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because I know myself. If I go back to an office, I'm going to take work home. I don't want to take work home because I'm building whatever this thing is that I'm building. And so if you just let me just serve some people, I know tips are good. Let's go. I'll make
Mhm.
some money that way." And this was a coffee shop slash brewery. I don't know if you know, but San Diego used to be, I don't know if it still is, but it used to be like the craft beer mecca. And so it was like this whole thing about craft beer. And she was like, "Do you know about craft beer?" And I'm like, "I mean, no, but I can learn." And
Right?
yeah, just give me a lesson. And she's like, "Okay, scratch that. Do you know how to make a latte? Like a swan and a heart and like whatever it is." And I'm like, "Listen, I have a whole podcast on coffee. So while I don't know how to properly make a latte, I can drink a mean one." And she's like, "Okay, scratch that. The position that I can offer you is to host, like
Mm.
to be at the door, writing people's
Sit
names,
your ass
getting them
down
in."
here. Yeah.
Yes, which meant that I was almost, no, I think I was 30 already. I was early 30s. And that meant that I was working next to a 16-year-old. And I did it for 2 weekends because I was like, Lindsay, may she rest in power now. She passed away.
Mm.
But I was like, what can I do to be behind the bar? Because, like, while I'm all for this hospitality stuff, I know I'm going to make some money. I need to make some tips. And frankly, like it's hard to be sitting the people that I was eating with, you know? There's like very interesting shift that happened there. And she was like, look, if you learn how to make a latte, the moment you can make me a latte correctly, I'll put you behind the bar. And so what I did is I did it for 4 weekends. So Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday. So 4 days.
Mhm.
Every day after my shift, after hosting, I would go behind the bar and like stare at the baristas, and they would get so mad at me. And I'll be like, I need to learn how to make a latte. There were the few that would like, fine, do it alongside me, grab the milk, froth it, whatever. And like the majority of them, I mean, if you know anything about coffee people, they they could be, especially the people that make it, they could be very purist about it. Like, you don't watch me, you figure it out type thing. And so I had to wiggle myself to do it. By the fourth day, Sunday, I was like, Lindsay, test me. I know how to make a latte. And it wasn't perfect, but she was like, at least you can froth the milk. Let's go. So after that, she put me to serve coffee, and I did it. And how I brainwashed myself every morning, I would go to this coffee shop because I would come home and cry. I mean, this was not, a walk in the bar like, oh yeah, because it was quite a shift. And mind you, when I sent my email to all my clients, like, thank you, everyone. It was great working with you. I'm moving on. I got job offers from my clients that I had supported while I was at that company. And they're like, I don't know where you're going, but if you need it, like, you have a job here. I had someone offer me a car, like, I'll buy you a car so you can just like come here. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know I don't want to stay in this corporate life anymore. And so I
Mhm.
chose the hospitality life. And I would still go home and cry every day because it was hard. And how I started brainwashing myself every morning is one, I asked Lindsay to give me the morning shift. So I want to open because I thought if I start my day at the coffee shop, I can end my shift at noon. From noon to the rest of the day, it's my day to build my business. And so every morning I would have to be at the coffee shop to open at 6, so we could open doors at 7. I would drive my ass to the coffee shop and I would brainwash myself that every person that I would serve coffee to was a potential client. So I was walking into a networking event every morning, meeting my potential clients. And at this point, I had enrolled already in coaching school, in life coaching school. And so when you're life coaching school, they tell you, coach everyone who lets you be coached. I mean, listen, everybody that was getting coffee was also getting the question of, do you have any issues that you would like to work through? Because I'm offering coaching sessions. Do you want to work with me?
Dang,
And
I love the boldness.
I mean, you got to do it.
Yeah,
And
it's awesome.
so I got some clients from there that, I mean, I know people, they're still my friends. I still people
Mhm.
connect with some of them because, and I even remember there were people that were like, why are you here? And I'm like, because I'm building and
Yeah.
I didn't have the conversation to save to build. And so I'm building from zero.
Mhm.
And the the twist in that story is that one day, it was a Monday, Lindsay called me crying and I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, well, it could be better, but I just want you to know that you don't need to come today to the
Uh,
restaurant. And I was like, all right. I knew I didn't do anything wrong, but she was like bawling. And I'm like, can I support? And she's like, I know that you'll be okay. I'll call you later. So she called me later that evening and she was more calm. And she's like, basically what happened is that the owners came. So I'm in San Diego. The owners lived in Texas to this restaurant because it was like they had a couple of them. So owners came. They didn't like what they saw. In that moment, they said, we're shutting down.
what?
And yeah, and it was, it happened that Monday I had an afternoon shift. So that
Mm.
Monday I didn't have to open at 6. That Monday I was going to go to work at noon. And so she called me, so I didn't go. So I didn't know what happened, you know? And she was like, you're like, it was, it was terrible because they said, we're done. We don't want to deal with this. And they said, you have to close the doors right now. You have to kick people out. You have to re, ¿cómo se dice? Release all of the staff that are present and call everybody and tell them we're done. And in that moment, that's what you have to do. It's kind of wild. And so what happened there is that it's funny because it had been like 6 months that I had been working at the coffee shop and I was comfortable. What I realized is that, the universe makes things move for you in your favor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at that time, I was like, oh, but that's because I had gotten comfortable. I was so nice and cozy because I had cash on hand all the time. So I was getting tips all the time. I remember I had a client who would come every morning and he would get at the time a $4 latte and pay me $10 and be like, the rest is for you. And so, like after so many of those, you have cash on hand all the time. So I got real comfortable and I kind of, I don't want to say I got lazy, but I was like, this is working. I need to be a little like lax. Well, she calls me and she's like, you ain't coming no more. This is like not a thing. So I really had to get it together. And
Mm-hmm.
almost pretty much 10 years later, here we are. Still
That's
working for
a
myself.
beautiful story with so many reminders of you not giving a fuck about status. I think a lot of people stay in their cushy jobs because they like the status and the ego boost. Like you were an executive. Like, yeah, why the fuck would I bring you coffee? I think as neurodivergent people, we just see the practicality in things.
Yeah. Like, what do I need to do?
Like you're not any more important than me.
Totally. So people did, I mean, one thing I have said since I went back to hospitality is that I think every person needs to work in hospitality
Mm-hmm.
because it's a reminder. Like it reminded me after, because I had served when I was in college, but then I went to climb the ladder or whatever. And when I went back to serving, I realized how rude people can be.
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe that how you treat the person that serves you coffee or your food tells me more about you than having a conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
But
I was
yes,
raised
what
to
if that was
think
that?
that servers se querían aprovechar de ti all the time. That was how I was raised to think. Like, oh, servers are just being nice because
Wow.
they want a tip. Yeah, so I internalized this belief that everybody's out to get me, not just surfers, but like literally every family, friend, no one's your friend. Everybody just wants something from you because they're nice. So I think that that's what I thought of when you said how you treat servers. So I really had to stop and
Oh,
undo a lot of patterns. I mean, my first job was at McDonald's when I was like
yeah.
16. Once I got my green card and I had a job and I could work, I was like, I don't care what it is, like you. It's like, I just need money and I'm happy to
We
be out
just
of the
need to make the
house
money.
and make my own money because I will never be in the position of being a woman. At the time I identified as just like cis. I didn't wasn't even out of the closet yet, but I was like, I don't want to be like my mom que depende de un hombre. Like hell no. I
Mm,
internalized that so quick. And I think queerness allowed me to decenter men very early on. I was like, I don't even like you. Like you're no. What am I gonna do with
totally.
this? Like,
I love
but
that.
I think I had this objective viewpoint of just like, no, I just need money. And this isn't forever. I think that you had that belief too that you're like this
Yeah.
isn't forever because I think a lot of people don't want to quit their jobs or they're afraid of losing that ego boost of whatever your staff title is or whatever. It's just a piece of paper if you
Yeah.
quit, that everything is like permanent and set in stone. But that's something that I think you've probably had to tell yourself, this isn't forever and it's for the end goal of this, and I'm building something. And even when you were serving coffee, you already had your podcast. You were already starting
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. I did.
So you were like already building all this stuff all at once. It's not like you were
I
just
was.
like making lattes. You were filling your time in a very purposeful way, which I think a lot of people are scared of. If they quit, then how are they going to spend their days? But you
Yes.
you filled it intentionally with purpose.
Yeah. And I think I remember my mom always saying everything is temporary.
Hmm.
And so even when she decided to close her business and we had to like literally pack our maletas and come to the US, and live with my primos in their living room, she would always say, "This everything's temporary. This is
Mhm.
not this is not forever." And so I think I don't know if it's an ADHD thing or having grown with entrepreneur parents or in a dysfunctional family. I don't all of the above. But I think my
Mhm.
palette for risk is much higher than a lot of people
Mhm.
because I literally like my friends, they were like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I'm choosing to believe that whatever it is that I'm building can happen.
Yeah. You're just deciding. I think a lot of
Hmm.
people are like, but how did you, like, what's your secret? How did you do this thing? Or how do you believe in yourself? It's like, bitch, I just decided.
Bien frente del otro, like I couldn't tell you. Yeah,
Like
for sure.
everything legit just has to be a decision and you just have to be on board with it. And if it doesn't work out, you can pivot. But like you say, money helps you do
Hmm.
everything. Money helps you pivot. And I like what you say, como que te pusiste cómoda just because you had like the physical cash, I think, in
Yes.
hand. There's something about like seeing physical cash where you just like
Oh,
feel
yes.
rich and you're like, oh, I'm balling out. But then once you deposit
I
in the bank, it's
know.
just like numbers. It's so fascinating that you felt, oh no, I'm good. And then it just like the universe is like, no, you're actually
Let me cut
not.
that
But
up.
you saw it as like a blessing, which a lot of people would freak out and be in victim mode of like, why does this always happen to me? Why did this bad thing happen? Why? And you're just like, you just assigned a reason. You're like, oh, the universe noticed me getting like cómoda, so I'm gonna do this. So what did you decide to do next after you left the job or had to leave?
I tuned into actually becoming like being a coach because I had hired so before I left corporate, my former boss asked me, "What are you gonna do?" And I was like, "I'm gonna work for myself." And he looked at me, and I don't know if he wanted to laugh or not, but he was like, "All right, well, if you take anything from me, hire a coach because
Mm.
that will help you actually make things happen." He's the most ADHD person I've ever met. Like, oh my gosh. And so, I mean, he modeled that to me when I was working with him because he always had a coach. And when he couldn't make his coaching calls, he would send me. And so I already had a little taste of what it was to work with a coach. And so I kept that. Sí me acuerdo, o sea, I filed that. And the moment I could hire a coach, I did. And that
Mhm.
coach that I worked with was like, and ¿cómo se llamaba? I don't even, ni me acuerdo. It's been so long. It's so bad to not be able to quote her. But because we only worked very little together. But she said, what you're telling me is that you are coaching. So at that point, I was doing brand strategy. So I had already, I got to build a boutique agency. I hired a designer and I had an assistant. And so I was doing the strategy work with the clients. So I was onboarding the clients. I was making the sales. I was like doing more high level job instead of the moving pixels job. And when I would work with the coach on how I was working with clients, she's like, what you're telling me is that you're coaching. And I think you would make it a great coach because you're walking people, yes, through their brand strategy, but you're going deeper into that. Like you're helping them build
Mhm.
businesses and grow them and blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, I live in the land of the coaches. San Diego's land of coaches. I'm not gonna be one more coach. And she's like, whatever you want. But I really think you can become a coach. And then I came across a coaching school that I now teach at, which is kind of fun for full circle. I'm an instructor for them.
Mm.
And I circled around their program for like a year until I kept scheduling calls with their person until finally they were like, all right, this is like the fourth time we talked, Pam. So either you want this or you don't, because I'm happy to keep meeting with you, but you're just extending and extending and extending. What's up? So I enrolled in the program, and when the coffee shop closed, I went full into I'm gonna coach now. And the people that I had coached for free, I reached out. The people that I had already been charging, which I mean, they tell you, which now that I teach in coaching school, I tell my students now, don't listen to the charge $75 an hour. Charge whatever you want. Like, that's not a standard rate, you know,
Mhm.
which is what I was told. And so I did the math and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to make a living charging this. Like, how? So I had to adjust and change and do my own inner work and work with my own money wounds to be able to charge more, to be able to, you know, tune into my own credibility, my experience, to be able to charge more. And then I started consulting, which to this day I do consulting for the Small Business Development Center, which is a local nonprofit that supports businesses at no cost, but I get paid. And
You
so
better.
that was, yes, 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 yes. And that is really, it's really fulfilling because I get to see, I mean, I got to experience coaching Spanish speakers, por ejemplo, no? And so
Mm.
I got to support. I remember one woman who she literally came with her maleta in a dream, and she still has the business, and I still see her, and she's still my client. Um, and she reminded me of my mom so much because she was a single mom. She brought her kids, and that's when I realized I actually became the coach my mom needed. And
Mm.
so how I naturally gravitated towards helping people build so much is because that inner niña that I carried for so long that wanted to help her mom save her business, couldn't, but now I get to do it with others. It's a lot of
Oh,
fun.
that's so healing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. That's your why. And I think so many people need to remember, like, why the fuck am I doing this? Because it can get hella boring when you're all alone at your laptop, like marketing your services. And it's like, no, I have to come back to my why. So that's beautiful. So many full circle moments, too.
Yeah. It's been
Yeah,
fun.
now I want to talk about galladita culture. I think that's your thing. Like, what does that mean, and why are you passionate about getting us to stop shutting the fuck up
Unmute.
and be less? Yeah. How do we talk
Uh,
more?
yes. So calladita culture came from me, for myself, actually, because I'm always my first client. You know, I earlier we talked about the self-responsibility, and when I was in corporate, I was on a walking meeting with my mentor, and I was just like complaining. And I'm like, yeah, because all of this happens to me, and oh my gosh, I'm a Latina, I'm a first gen, nobody helps me. Oh. And she's a white woman from the South, from Alabama, so with her very Southern accent that I cannot do. She looked at me and she said, Pam, I cannot wait, and I hope I get to witness the day you stop being a victim.
Damn.
And I was like, what? Like, you're supposed to be on my side. You're a mentor. Like, you're my mentor. What do you mean?
Mhm.
And she said, no, the world is against everybody, but you bring the world against you because you choose that with just looking at the negative things that happen to you. You have agency, you have power, you have voice. If you want to make more money, fucking ask for it. If you want to not work here anymore, then leave. Why are you here? You know? And so that stung a lot. And I went back to like inside and I was like, all right, I'm not a victim. Like it's not cool for somebody to call you a victim. And so that's when I started taking self responsibility for everything. And that's why it was easy for me to go in to serve coffee. And it was easy for me to be like, all right, it closed. What can I control? It was, it was not easy. I don't want to say easy, but it was an act, a conscious act for me to say, what do I have control of in this moment? What can I speak up about? What can
Mhm.
how can I use my power? What can I ask for? And so as I started coaching, I am a clinical EFT practitioner, so I have a lot of trauma training. I do tapping, I do somatic work now. We work with the subconscious. We can reprogram your beliefs in really fun ways. And as I started working, I started attracting more and more first gens. And I started maybe because of my background of where I being a former corporate executive, I tend to attract a lot of people in those levels. And every single one, I started noticing patterns. It's also a very ADHD thing, we
Pattern
pattern recognize.
recognition. We see it.
And
We
so
call it out. They might not
we
like it,
call
but it
that.
is what it is. That's why we're coaches.
That's right.
Si yo
And
no te digo
so,
quién lo va a decir.
exacto. That's right. Very for that. So from hundreds of conversations that I had with first-gen leaders, I realized that what keeps us overworked, underpaid, overgiving, code switching, etc., is the system at large, which is what I call calladita culture. And calladita culture is the villain in our story. So this is not like your fault that we were told to be calladita. This is the system at large, and it's a combination of various things from patriarchy, machismo, marianismo, religion. There's a lot of components that become calladita culture. And the five wounds that come from calladita culture are silence, identity, worth, power, and commitment. And so those five wounds, every one of us carries them if you grew up under calladita culture. And the thing is that those patterns are inherited many times.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can also be loyal to them just because it hurts not to repeat the story. And there's various things that keep it, they're here to keep us safe. Now, what I've found with the five wounds is that we can be undercompensated or overcompensated. So you can be the quiet one, or you can be the loudest one. Either way, you're not heard. If your wound of silence, for example, is on the edges. So we want to get to whatever the most harmonious way for you and the truest, frankly, way for you to exist is without looking for the approval or without doing it with the wound exposed. So Gaeta culture is a system that keeps us quiet, overworked, underpaid, overgiving, etc., etc. And once we dismantle it, we can be the best versions, the
Are there
most
like sneaky
outspoken.
ways you've seen Kailita culture show up? Because I bet you coach a lot of like probably eldest daughters who are like the
Mm-hmm.
leaders and everything,
Yep.
and you probably find some sneaky shit that happens,
Yep.
and I
So
gotta hear
much.
about that.
So much sneaky. So the sneaky ways that the culture shows up is with what I call protective reversals. So what happens is, as you talk about, your lived experience informs how you show up. And so our brain internalizes different stories and it creates protection because the brain captures those as safe. And so depending on what it is that we're living with, there are 6 protective reversals that keep us safe for the brain because the brain doesn't know the difference whether it's a bear chasing you or a notification, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So the first protective reversal is possibility. So sneaky way number 1 is when you don't think it's possible for you. So that's where I was when I was talking to my mentor on that walking meeting. And I was like, oh, it's never going to be possible for me to get a promotion, or it's never going to be possible for me to like make the pay increase or whatever that is. So possibility is a reversal that keeps us safe because my brain says I know how to handle being underpaid.
Mm-hmm. That's
I
familiar.
don't know I don't know how to handle getting paid more.
Mm-hmm.
So I choose to believe that it's not possible for me to make more money or whatever. Sneaky way number 2 is deserving. So deserving is quite sneaky actually, because it's the wound of worth. And it's when people want to believe. So sometimes the prefrontal cortex says, yeah, I deserve more. But the whisper that happens with the subconscious says, are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what makes you think so? So a way to dismantle that is to reprogram the subconscious and to frankly figure out what the story is that said you don't deserve it. And it's sneaky because when I do inner child work, the deserving piece could be that your mom told you not to eat cake one day. Like it isn't always connected one thing with the other, because what the brain does is it finds the similarity of the feeling, not how
Mm-hmm.
same it is to the story.
Yeah, for me, it's like when I was 5, my dad told me to shut up once when I was in the car with my brother. And I'll never forget that. That like
Yeah.
I'm a coach. I like know the root of why.
Right.
I was like, oh yeah,
Your
duh.
signature themes are there. And so this, like in your case, in that story, for example, that inner child could be like, well, I don't deserve to have a voice
Hmm.
because my dad told me to shut up. And so then when it comes to you, maybe I don't think you have that challenge, but it could be like visibility or whatever it is. There's the whisper that says, but you don't deserve to have a voice. What do you mean? You know?
The way you have
So
to
that
say
one's
isn't good enough.
correct. Yeah. So the serving is another one. Identity, that one's big, especially for first gens, especially for migrants, people that have gone back and forth. Um, for LGBTQI plus, also identity is a piece, because who are you?
Hmm.
Who are you now? Who are you then? How do you integrate? So integration is quite important with that one, because it's accepting the reality of what was, accepting the reality where you are, and giving yourself permission to have the parallels and be. So
Hmm.
that one's work. Safety is another one. So safety is when it simply doesn't feel safe. I mean, safety is tricky because it's it's hidden, right? Like for me,
Hmm.
safety is a big one in social media, for example.
Yeah.
There are times when I don't feel safe on socials because people are gonna come and like hunt me for whatever reason, right?
The
But
bots are going
that
to be the bot.
comes right. So safety in my case is because when my mom was visible and she was successful, the envidiosos came
De la familia, no?
de la
But
familia. Yeah.
your own. That's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. And so what my body thinks is not safe is the more visible I am, the more exposed I am for the envidiosos to come,
Hmm.
which is like constant work, you know, to to remind myself that my body's safe, to remind myself that I'm safe too. Because what I saw growing up is informing how I am currently existing. A huge one, a huge one, huge one, huge one is loyalty. Loyalty to the lineage is a big one, and it's so hidden. And loyalty, I have so many examples for that. I have a client, for example, who she was hitting a money threshold actually. Like she was not moving and she just couldn't. Like if she tried to charge more, people would be like, nah. But like if she charged $5 less, it was like green light. And what we found is that there was loyalty to the lineage because the women in her family had never made more than that.
Hmm.
So it was her ceiling, loyalty to that ceiling. And that
Mm.
one's huge because unless you dig and you're like, why is this happening? Then we can go back into the victimizing, right? Like people don't want to pay me. But the responsibility. What are you carrying that's preventing from people? Like how are you not asking for it?
Hmm.
You know? So loyalty is a big one. Loyalty also shows up. I mean, loyalty shows up in so many ways. I have another client who kept repeating the pattern of toxic relationships. And
Hmm.
it was this like,
Things can be right with your friends, but your romantic life is in shambles. That has been
yeah,
me until very recently.
hmm
I'm
yeah,
like, not a victim. I have choice.
you have a choice, yes. And so what happened with her is that it was like she kept learning, like every relationship got a little bit better, and so she was like, well, it's a little bit better, not quite, it's not as bad as the previous one, but it wasn't like the best thing ever. And
Yeah.
what we found when we went into her subconscious is that she was being loyal to the women in her lineage who had always been abused. And so she
Hmm.
couldn't attract a partner who was not abusive. Like whether they were verbally, it never got to be fully physical, thankfully, but it was like they were
It's still
mean or they
abuse.
would
Yeah.
like yeah, 100%. They were
Hmm.
dismissive or they would just like little things that are big things, like she would see them as little red flags. And I'm like, no, those are like big no, big red flags. Like, no, no, no. Just because it's not as loud as the previous one doesn't mean that's good. And
Yeah.
so that was the loyalty to the lineage of the women that she grew up with because it
Hmm.
went back to also deserving. Like who
Hmm.
was she to deserve someone who treated her well when all the people that she came from didn't?
Hmm.
It's a trip to think about.
Yeah.
And the last one is will. And the last one is tricky because will is when you just don't want to. Like, do I want to do this? Is this something that my body like sometimes when you go through all of the other ones, you're just so tired that your body's like, yeah, no, no mas. I just don't want to do it. Like whose story are you doing this for? Who told you to do
Hmm.
it? And so it's a
Hmm.
lot, it's a big process of self-discovery actually. But it's fun.
It's fun for
Painful
us
at
because we're
times,
all
but it's fun.
about self-development. I'm like, this is my kink, getting better as a person. Like
100%.
my favorite shows are the like Queer Eye or the makeover shows, like How to Build a
Yes.
Sex Room, all of those, where it's just like bam, 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 the transformation happens in a week. I'm like, I love
Yes.
this shit.
I wish. I wish it happened like that.
That's why it's a show. It's not
Correct.
real.
But
It
that's
takes
when you
time.
like, I don't know if this happens to you, but I get people that are like, how long is this gonna take? And I'm like, this is not Queer Eye. Like, we don't do this in a week, you know?
Yeah,
So
my coaching is 6 months for a reason. People are like, why is it 6 months? I'm like, honey, because we're redoing your entire like money life story
it's
in
a
a
money
few
reboot.
months.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah,
system reboot for sure.
yeah.
We're not robots. We can't just do a software update that takes 20 minutes.
No, it's not a class. Like we're changing how you think and integrating. It takes time. That's why between my calls, we have 2 weeks for you to integrate and process because we pack a
Well,
lot in an hour. I don't waste time. I call it out. I'm like, this has been like fucking you over for decades because of
yeah.
your lineage. There's so much ancestral stuff. That's why it takes time for you to process and recalibrate and integrate and show that you're safe when you're trying new things, like talking about money for the first time with like your mom or your partner or your sister. You're like, poco a poco, you see like the matrix unfolding for all these other people. But yeah, it takes time and not everybody's going to be on board. There's going to be the celosos that can come from your own
Yeah.
network, which I think
I
as
know.
when I started being a business owner, I thought, ooh, my friends or the people, my followers are going to like support me and they're going to be my number one fans. And it's like,
Mm.
no.
How many friends did you lose when you started your business?
A lot. Or people who I thought were friends. I think it's a neurodivergent thing where you assume that the people who follow you want what's best for you and they're on your side. And it's like, no, sometimes people just want to follow you because they're nosy AF. They're never going to like
Yeah.
support you and they want to see you fail. And they get pissed off
Yeah.
when you don't fail and you're doing the damn thing that they only talk about what they're going to do. That triggers a lot of people. So,
Yep. I
yeah,
know.
I think that's the biggest shock as an entrepreneur is that your friends and family won't support you, but they'll be watching, but they
Oh yeah.
won't say anything.
To
That's
this
like the
day.
wildest thing
Yeah.
to see. At no point has anybody in my immediate family ever been like, yeah, amazing, congrats for doing the damn thing. No, no, but it's like you don't need their validation. You stop chasing the
Correct.
validation because you learn that you're never going to get it from them. And I think that stops a lot of people that they're like, why don't my family support me? Or they just want the friends and family discount. And it's like, pues que se quieren aprovechar.
Mm-hmm.
Randos
And
on
I
the
think,
internet have met me. Yeah, go ahead.
well, I think expectations, right? Like this false narrative of friends and family are going to support you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think what helped me, frankly, was seeing the abuses in my mom's business that I was like, I don't
Mm,
expect people to support me.
yeah.
And so I remember friends stopped inviting me to gatherings.
Mm,
I had like a big group of friends, and it was like almost every weekend it would be like a carne asada or like something. And when I started my business, I'm like, yo, I cannot contribute the way that I did when I had my cozy corporate salary. Like,
Mm.
I'm gonna come in with a soda, and sometimes I'm just gonna like come in to feed me because I
Yeah.
don't have it. And they stopped inviting me, and it was like
Mm.
it made me sad, and it was this pains me to say, but it was the Latinos who actually didn't help me. My white girlfriends, they have hired me, and they're still friends with me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember one of them, she was like, I don't know what you do, but just like sell me something. I want to support you.
Aw.
And I know. And then my Latina friends, they stop inviting me to things,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And it's like, oh, that hurts a little, frankly. But none of them were entrepreneurs. Like everyone had their own corporate job. And so to your point, it's like they were seeing me do things that maybe they didn't never thought it was possible. Maybe I
Mm-hmm.
was mirroring something that they wish they could do, but they couldn't do it, you know? And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's tricky. So and I tell this to my clients, don't expect people to do anything for you. Zero
Yeah.
expectations. Your life will be so much
Mm-mm.
easier.
No, randos on the internet are more likely to like share my posts or tell others about me. It's wild that like my business has been more funded by randos on the internet just finding me and liking
100%.
me than my own network. But like we have to get out of that victim mentality. Like we can recognize that wound and be like, oh damn, this was a surprise, but it's just data, it's just information, and then
Yeah.
just keep marketing to the randos on the internet.
Yeah.
Or like having a
Yeah.
podcast where anybody can listen, which is a beautiful gift that we have. That and congrats on like 400 something episodes, by the way. That's
Yeah.
insane. Like you're probably in the
So
top
fun.
0.05% of
I
podcast
know.
people who start. Most people don't make it past like 6 episodes and quit. So
Yeah. I think the average podcast doesn't make it past 10 episodes.
yeah.
So, yeah. One thing I will say is I have this passion for sharing our stories. Actually started the podcast because I wanted to hear people like me. I wanted to selfishly talk to my potential mentors.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you've been on the show, so there's over 400 stories in audio. And then we also do written articles now. So, and we do YouTube exclusives. And there's over 500 stories that I've shared of people like you and me that didn't have the platform at the time. There's so many of us now, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But 10 years ago, there were like four of us.
Nothing. Yeah, I started in 2020. I quit my job. COVID hit, and I was like, nah, this ain't it. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Corporate is not it
Mhm.
for me. I know how to stack my 401k, my investments on my own. I'm good. I don't care if I make less than
Yeah.
45K a year. Still haven't made more than that a year since quitting six
And your
years
life is
ago.
probably happier,
Oh yeah, so much happier. I'm so spoiled. Like a bad day was like a good day back then when I worked the nine to
which
five.
is wild.
Yeah.
So wild to
Yeah.
think about.
Yeah, but there's a lot of como acompañarte that a lot of people don't recognize. They think that we just have like this God-given talent and gift, and we're just hardworking and have grit. And it's like, no, we've learned to ask for help, ask for coaching. I will never not hire a coach. And yeah, I've invested tens of thousands of dollars in coaching because I want to pay people for their expertise. I want to pay you for your emotional labor because that's what coaching is. It's emotional labor. And I think that still pisses a lot of people off. That people get pissed off at coaches because they're like, damn, all this free emotional labor I've been giving for free. Y'all get paid tens of thousands of dollars for that. What? So
Yeah,
yeah, you have to keep investing in yourself in that way. And I think people are surprised that I, as a business owner, invest in business coaching. And it's like, yeah, just like your boss invested in executive coaching, we always want
hmm
to get better. I think it's a red flag when you hire a coach who doesn't invest in coaching or
100%.
self-improvement and they think that they know everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, just as we start wrapping it up, is there any question that you wish people had asked you when you're doing podcasts that they haven't asked you yet?
Mm,
Or ask you more at least?
I mean, the short answer is no. I think it goes back to me. You know, like the reason why they don't ask me specific things is because I don't externally show up with them. So
Mhm.
it just shows me that have more work to do to share my body of work. because a lot of people are interested in like, oh, you've done this podcast for so long. And I'm like, yeah. And I've also built a whole body of work for so long. And the thing is that I have been literally head down working with clients, building my body of work. This is why I have so many frameworks because I have the evidence working with hundreds, probably at this point, thousands of people. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, I don't have time to yell and scream about it because I've been building it, but
Mhm.
soon. So it's on me. So I don't have a specific question that I want people to ask me. It's more so that shows me evidence that I have more work to do to share my body of work.
Mm. Oh my gosh, so introspective. I'd say something like that too. I'd be like, no, I'm transparent as fuck. I share everything. I share my net worth, how much I've made, like everything. My tax
Yes,
returns. I'm more transparent than a fucking politician out here.
I
They got
know.
receipts.
They need to learn from you.
Yes, this was awesome. It's a great conversation. Where can folks find you? And you're having something on the 10th of October, right? In San
Yes,
Diego?
we are celebrating Café con Pam turns 10. And so I created an event called Diez Velada because I have another event called Brunch with Benefits. So it's a brunch.
Hmm.
I hosted a dinner with my friend Ruby from Las Mamacitas. So we called that Querida Yo, and it was a plated dinner. It was beautiful. And so for Diez Velada, I'm like, how could we make it a celebration for Café con Pam? And it's a celebration that we turned 10 years. But I say we because truly, I wouldn't be here if people didn't listen. Like, I've tried to quit more times than I can count. And every time I'm like, all right, I have an announcement. Then I get letters from people that are like, please don't. I need to hear more. Like, this interview that you did with so and so changed me. Like, because they got to share blah, 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 I started believing, or because they got to share XYZ, I was able to have the conversation. And so I'm like, fine, I won't quit. And so, so I think the Esmeralda is a celebration of all of us, of every like person that has listened to 1 minute of Café con Pam. I want it to be a celebration of our joy, of our stories. And because I've done brunch dinner, this is a pajama. So it's pajamas required. So you come in into your flyest pajamas. Somebody was like, what if I sleep nude? And I'm like, no, no, no. You have to be covered. Like, we're not gonna
Yeah.
like I
This
don't
isn't
want to
a
get
play
kicked
party,
off.
y'all. This is vanilla.
Yes. Yes. We need to
Come to
keep it a
Portland
little
for the play parties with Charlie. That's where I'm at.
correct. Yes.
And only
That's
get
where
naked if I
another
know you, because I'm demisexual and sapiosexual. You gotta fuck my mind before we talk. Okay.
let's go.
Anyway,
That
I'm
would
a
probably
Virgo.
be an after hours party. Like this is just
Yeah.
Velada. It's not, like we have to plan that one very carefully. But this
Yes.
one you need to be covered. Whatever things need to be covered in order for us to continue to host an event, they need to be covered. Um, and so I'm inviting people to wear pajamas. I'm bringing the chef that cooked for the dinner back, but this time it's
Mm.
chef cooked, but there are pijamada or slumber party
Mm-hmm.
foods, like still
Mm-hmm.
delicious and chef made, gluten free, dairy free, because everyone has challenges with food here. And
Yeah.
so it's going to be super fun. We're going to have great self care activations. And I'm going to, this time, I'm the guest. And so I'm going to do my Future Tuesday. So I'm going to host a workshop. And I call it a Future Tuesday because when people ask me, how did you make it to 10 years of Café con Pam? It's because when I think about future self, I don't think about future me who made it. I think about future me on a random Tuesday
Mm-hmm.
after it's normal. And
Mm.
so it's so much better for me to create, to get into, I don't want to use the word manifesting, but to get into the creation mode when I think about the version of me who exists with it already normal. And so every time I think about Capricorn Bam in the next iteration, it's who is Bam on a future Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Not like creating the episode or being like successful. It's just a random Tuesday when it exists and it's normal. So same thing with money, Like if I like who is the Bam who has sponsors that pay her with ease, and she gets checks in the mail on a random Tuesday. And so the workshop is called Future Tuesday Workshop. I'm launching a journal. So it's
Hmm.
going to be my first official Café con Pam, or that's more Pam Covarrubias. It's going to be a product, and attendees will get access to the journal first. They get one part of their ticket, and we are going to do some fun subconscious reprogramming into stepping into the Future Tuesday version of themselves. And then the recorded episode is going to be a Q&A with me where I get to life coach folks. So
Mm.
I decided that I'm the guest this time around instead of bringing a guest to do a live episode.
You're like, it's
More
me.
so than I'm the guest, it's like people are like whoever comes is the guest. So it's
Mm.
October
Mhm.
10th in San Diego. It's going to be at the Well in Grossman Center in East San Diego, and it's a woman-owned co-working space. And the proceeds from rent, they use it to fund daycare for women. So
Mm.
they, so a lot of the women that work there are mothers, and they have their babies. Like when I went to tour the place, there was a woman working, and then she got up and she went into the daycare space, brought their baby, fed the baby, and then put the baby back and went back to work. And I'm like, this is amazing. When do you see that happening?
Yeah.
And
Right.
she was like, yeah, we do this because women need this. Like, what other co-working space has a
Mm.
daycare where you can bring your baby, they'll watch it while you work. You can go in and feed it, feed the baby, not it, feed the baby, and then a lot of the women that work there, they're able to get scholarship for the daycare because of the
Mm.
rentals from the space. So I'm like, take my money.
Yeah, I love it.
So October 10th, 10 velada.
And where else can folks find you?
Cafeconpam.com. I have a quiz, cafeconpam.com/quiz. They can take the free quiz. They can find what is their galletita culture wound that rules their decisions. It takes 3 minutes. Super fun. And cafeconpam.com, that's the easiest. From there, I can redirect you to all the places and spaces. And it's
Yeah.
Pam, porque yo soy Pam, not Pan.
No pun.
You have to understand the iteration there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I found you because you have a good online presence. And I found you because I was chat GTPing and I was like, how do I romanticize my life? And your episode on how to romanticize your life came up. And then I listened to it. I was like, yeah, we should be friends. I want to be on your podcast. And now you're on mine. Full circle moment. You attract all
Full
these
circle.
full circle moments.
Yay.
Yes. Well, you're doing amazing work. Thank you so much for transparently sharing your story and always wanting to introspect and share more of your learnings because we're all learning and growing together, especially in these dark ass times. You're a bright light in the world, and I so appreciate you just showing up even when it's hard,
Yeah.
and
Thank
remembering
you.
your why. So, yeah, thank you
Thank
so
you. Likewise.
much. Yes, we're out here doing the
I
damn
love your posts
thing.
when you dance. I'm like, I need to get more into. I used to perform.
Oh, really?
Fun fact that you didn't ask about. I used to be
Like,
a salsa dancing performer.
well,
You
there
want to
you
see a picture?
go.
I have evidence. I have evidence.
Yes.
Every time I tell people, they're like, "Oh, okay, you used to dance," and I'm like, "No, no, no. Like, I used to dance. Like, like this."
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's your two truths and a lie right there.
Yes, yes,
Dang.
it is.
Okay. For folks listening, Pam just
Yes,
shared with me you're all bedazzled, rhinestones, everything, like full on salsa performer. Okay, I see you.
yes,
Multifaceted, definitely neurospicy up in this bitch.
yes.
Love it.
So thank you for inspiring the dancing. I've been seeing you dancing, and I'm like, oh, I need
I
to,
love it. Yeah, people need the
I need to
dopamine
dance.
right now. When I started my
They do.
business, I used to give less fucks and I would just show up like topless because I was in Playa del Carmen. It was always hot. And I would just like shake my booty and everything. And that makes money accessible to people. I've literally had people sign up for my next webinar because they're like, I like seeing you shake your ass. I'm like, whatever it
Let's go.
takes to bring the people to help
Yes,
you retire early. If I got to
yes.
shake my
Let's
little
shake my
booty,
ass.
yeah. Doing it for the people.
Noted.
All
Noted. We'll
right.
consider it.
Yes, I'll watch. I'll be watching and waiting. Let me know. All right, Pam. Thank you so much for being on. Have a great day.
Thank you. This was fun.